Good morning or afternoon, everybody.
Yeah, well,
Sorry,
well, afternoon.
I was gonna say I scarfed down an entire pizza. So hungry.
Back up, man. What are you talking about? Afternoon.
It could be afternoon or noontime for some people. You don't know.
It's not noontime for us.
No,
You
it's
didn't
not
even
noontime
finish
for
saying
us.
good
It's technically brunch for us, okay? But noontime for people who are an hour ahead of us. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Oh God, I'm so sorry. So, I literally scarfed down a pizza between the time you and I were talking and when the music ended. All right, let me go ahead and switch screens. So, hi everybody. It
Hello.
is this is going to be something I know you've been waiting all month to talk about.
Ah,
So, what we're going to do is because I don't really want to focus on the final films because I this is my thing. This is the reason why.
we
Like
kind of do need to, though.
we do, but we don't. And this is why. Again, this is why I'm saying this. 7, 8, and 9, right?
Yes.
The shows are like all the shows, including Clone Wars, kind of deal with the prequels in 4, 5, and 6, right?
Not with the current shit. Not with the current shit.
Man,
Not
I
with
thought the
Bad Batch.
Mando.
Not
Okay,
with
okay, not bad.
Mando.
Okay,
There are sub stories in both of those that are trying to
but is it before 7? Like, did it happen between 6 and 7?
Mando. Yes.
See, boom. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, this is why. This is why. When I was watching the shows, and of course my husband was watching, not the show, but the movies with me. He was
Hmm.
like, I was like, where in the timeline does the Mandalorian? Okay, Bad Batch, I know is going to be.
It So actually, Disney, for me at the very least, has made a canonical timeline with
Mm.
everything in order.
Oh,
So
good.
it will have one, two, and three in order, Clone Wars, and then
Yes. No, it's
um
1, 2, Clone Wars, and then 3. Because Clone Wars
but yeah,
happens.
it literally puts everything in its in its chronological timeline.
Yes. Because I was
Um
about to say, okay, first of all, I know Abby has been really excited to hear my opinions on because I should be frank. Abby sent me 3 episodes of Clone Wars that I do agree were incredibly important for me to watch. Okay. And those were season 3, episodes 15, 16, and 17. And we'll get
yeah,
more into that because I also have questions, which I think you're very excited for. But
excellent.
yes,
And the
basically,
reason I wanted you to watch those pertaining to the sequels specifically is because the sequels are the only ones of the Skywalker saga that actually really represent what the Force has been explained in the show. Like everything else is
yeah.
just like little party tricks here and there,
Mm-hmm.
while 7, 8, and 9 are really show the duality and the like complexity of the Force that a lot of people shit on, and I'm like, no, that's canon. That's canon in the shows.
See, so this is why. Okay. This is the thing. I am not going to watch. Like I've seen Mando. I've seen the first 2 seasons, I think, because it was kind of spoiled, and my husband had a watch party with his friends, so I would watch that.
Oh
But I
yeah, the
wasn't really
end of
paying
2.
attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was amazing, by the way, amazing. But so I will say that. But I'm here because I don't care about spoilers. So you're gonna explain it to me because there's just now I don't have enough time to watch all of it. Um,
Yeah.
so that those are the episodes that I was talking about, Nauseum, that I've watched in Clone Wars, and we will get to that. But I don't think I don't want to spend too much time on the films because again, that's the most recent. If you haven't seen it, you really should. I have qualms about it personally,
They
but
they have
they're not
really
as
shitty writing. It's all over the place. The
the first.
actual structure
Yeah.
of each movie, except parts of it, most of 8,
Hmm.
but the actual structure of the movies by themselves are actually really decent. Its pacing
Mm-hmm.
is pretty good, where it's like got good action and good conflict and
Yeah.
like really low mellows. It ties into the original trilogy, and it pulls a
Mm-hmm.
little bit from the prequels, though people still had some bitterness about the prequels.
Mm-hmm. You've
But
been
like,
one of them.
but honestly, seven was the best of the sequels.
Mm-mm.
What they
Oh
did with
yes,
the Force
7.
was
Mm-hmm.
amazing for all three,
Mm-hmm.
and that nine was not as terrible as everyone thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
Eight,
I'm
though,
sorry.
like
I'm
eight
literally.
is a hot fucking mess. Like eight is all over the
I was
goddamn
about to
place.
say I'm literally eating this pizza crust as we're talking, and I'm like, 8. Fuck 8. 8 should not exist in my personal opinion. It was the worst out of every single Star Wars
See,
film.
but
It is the worst.
here's the fucking thing. What they played with the Force in eight is just, it's good, it's
It
great,
is,
and
but
it's
I hated.
infuriating that it was in such a shitty movie.
It is a
Because
shitty
here's the thing,
movie. It is such a shitty
can I go ahead and
movie.
throw out some theories?
Yes, go
Can I go
ahead.
ahead?
Go ahead. Bring it.
So here's the frustrating things about the sequels. J.J. Abrams was the one that directed 7 and 9. He was not contracted to do anything past 7.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I got real fucky in 8,
Which
because
is,
they,
I
but
remember
hang on,
when
hang
I
on,
was gonna say, I
I
remember
know,
when you
I
were.
know.
Okay, okay,
Hang
okay.
on,
I
hang on,
will
hang
hang
on.
on.
Because
I'm
this
having two
pulls
cups
into
of coffee. I
Bad
do need to
Batch
slow
and
down.
this pulls into Mando.
Okay.
I They did not write or even just like conceptualize it, just like a little footnote or anything, who Rey's parents were, which
Mm-hmm.
is just bad writing. We're not going to
Yep.
deny that. That is shitty ass writing.
Fuck that writing. Yep.
But when Rey descends into the area of the dark side, which again,
Yes.
throwback to like the originals was fantastic. It actually like really played up the dark side of the Force and the light side of the Force really well. Again, into the shitty, but we see when she goes to look for answers about who she is and who her parents were, she gets this reflection.
Yeah.
And it's revealed to her that she has no parents.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then it's retconned when J.J. Abrams
Fucking.
comes back in 9. Hang on. I know. J.J. Abrams comes back in 9, and she is the granddaughter of Palpatine.
Yeah, that's so bullshit. Okay, that
I know.
that's such bullshit.
Hang
And I'm
on.
like, okay, all right, fine, fine. I'm calm. I'm calm. I had 2 cups of coffee,
We're
but I'm
about to get
calm.
into spoilers, and I'm sorry. Nasium's probably gonna think I'm fucking insane. My husband already just thinks it's utter bullshit. I think Rey is supposed, not technically the granddaughter of Palpatine, but a female clone of Palpatine.
You think that?
Because we have Omega, who is a female, like, she is a genetically female clone,
Mm-hmm.
and the only genetically female clone from Bad Batch.
I
She is
see.
the sole, well, no, I'm sorry. There is, in Legends, there is a trans clone trooper.
Mm-hmm.
But Omega is the only genetically female sister of the clone. And
Interesting.
she is one of 2 clones that do not have um like the aging gene. So like the
Mm.
clones are aged up very, very quickly so they can be ready for battle quicker.
Mm-hmm,
There's only
mm-hmm.
one other that has like, is to age normally, and that's Boba. He is Alpha, and
Oh.
she is Omega. So my husband thinks that Omega is a kill switch for the entirety of the clone. I think the
Interesting.
only, which is a very valid theory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there's an inhibitor chip. We hear about it all the fucking time. Inhibitor chip in the clones that activate when Order 66 is given, and that's what turns them against the Jedi and have them kill the Jedi. We have no reason for Omega because Jango just wanted a son.
Oh,
Jango
that's
wanted a
true.
son really
Yeah.
bad. So that's why we have Boba. We have no reason for Omega. and there's no reason for Omega to specifically be a girl. So I think Dave Filoni is going out of his way to try and explain that Rey may
Ah,
technically be a clone of Palpatine and not necessarily really a granddaughter of Palpatine.
I see. That which would explain that she has no parents when she was looking
Right.
at. Okay, I can see that theory
Because
going.
it's saying that um, Rey's dad was Palpatine's son. But here's the thing, it's like that's so out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
So out of the blue for him to have a son at all. It's
Right.
also like implied that the reason we have Palpatine at all in 9 um was because he was a clone. And that's where we're
Mm.
getting Grogu's storyline in and Moff
Okay.
Gideon, where they are trying to harvest midichlorian.
Midichlorian. Sorry, the fucking midichlorian. I can't. Okay.
I know.
And still, that just.
Now you see why, like, it's.
I thought it would be like another Jesus reference. I'm not gonna lie. After seeing episode where the episode 1 where they were like, oh, where was like who was the father? He has no father. I thought it was gonna be something like that. She has no parents. She probably has a bunch of midichlorian, but they never mentioned that in the film. So hearing your theory makes more sense. You know,
Yeah.
because I'm like, are they gonna still continue with this Jesus theory? But no, I think what you are saying is it makes a lot more sense for sure.
And
The
I think because we're getting two major shows right now, and that's Bad Batch and
Yeah.
Mandalorian, where an underlying thing, especially in season 2 of Bad Batch, an underlining story arc about clones.
Mm.
Well, specifically Mandalorian, it's they're after Grogu because he has a very high midichlorian count. Nothing like
Mm-hmm.
Anakin, but still like a very high concentration of midichlorians, which makes their work easier so they're not having to like go out and seek for more people.
I
It's
see.
like, oh hey, this one person can take care of like 200 people, so that saves us time. While we are following cloning for whatever reason in season
Interesting.
2. We
Oh,
haven't done our finale yet for Bad Batch, so it's still
right.
kind of like unclear where we're going, what we're doing, what's happening with all of that. But very specifically, cloning in season 2 of Bad Batch.
I see what you're pointing out because they're making this like the main focal point so that it'll be sticking in people's minds.
Yeah,
Got it.
not like really a main focal point. You have to know what you're looking
Mm-hmm.
for with it because you
Interesting.
would have missed it completely.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Also, let me read Nasium's comments. He says the books before the prequels got really, really dumb with Palpatine clones, so it makes sense. And then before the prequels, the Clone Wars were mentioned but never expanded on it in canon, so the EU writers
Mhm.
went wild with it. The Vader clone arcs were eye-rollingly stupid. Mm. So yeah, I think what you're saying would make more sense because honestly, the reveal that she was somewhat related to Palpatine was kind of dumb, and I felt it in theaters. They were like, "Oh, what?" The kind of
Yeah,
out of all of that, this is the reveal. Are you serious? Palpatine? Okay, okay then.
yeah.
But I get your theory. I just okay. So this is all I want to talk about in the because we are gonna have to bring up the final films if that's true. Like Mando is between 6 and 7,
Hmm.
but 7 was the strongest out of the three. Obviously, it was
Agreed.
so strong.
Absolutely.
8 was trash. It to me was the worst of the films, like all the
And
Star Wars
here's
films,
what's
and like
so infuriating with 8 is they have really great things with the like using the force. I've already explained that.
yes,
But the
yes,
visual shit is
that's what I was about to
wasted in
say.
that movie.
That's what I was about to say. The only thing that 8 has going for it is because when they finally, do the split storyline, because they did it in, all the previous films, split storylines. When they did the split storyline in 8, it was visually stunning. The worlds that they built, stunning.
Mhm.
All of that, stunning. The writing in the movie was so garbage, that it ruined the film. But the
Yep.
visual effects, the scenery, like the sets, shit like that, phenomenal. But they did all the characters, every single character in that film, they did dirty.
God, I
And
feel
I'm
so
not
bad
talking,
for
and
Finn.
I'm not, yeah, I was about to say with Finn and what's her name, Rose?
Yeah.
The, okay.
Mhm.
They, I, they deserved so much better. They deserve so much better. But because to me, they got the worst end of it, right? Poe, oh, and Poe, because Poe was, I even forgot he was in the film.
Yeah.
They deserve better.
And he had like kind of a decent like character growth in that
Yes.
too.
Yes, he did. He was phenomenal. So again, they were phenomenal characters, but the writers did them dirty. The I can see that, Ray and the budding romance between Ray and Kylo Ren was there.
Surprisingly, I didn't really see that much romance
No, I see the built up. I
this
see what they
time.
were trying to build up towards it because they're gonna, make it
Well,
happen
here's the
in the
thing.
last one. Well, hold on.
Okay, 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 okay.
But because of the bad writing, because I think they were putting too much in eights and yet not enough. They were focusing too much on Kylo Ren and Ray
Mhm.
as and I want to say like as a couple, but yeah, kind of like how different they are in eights to really solidify this is like an enemies to lovers trope, which I love an enemies to lovers trope, but this one was
Mhm.
done absolutely like it wasn't that great.
Awful.
Yeah, it was awful. That they neglected all the other characters in the
Everyone.
fucking film, every single one of them, including Harrison Ford, who was also a part of it. Like they just it made me so mad. I do not like the eighth film. And I will and I remember saying it to you before, like that I did not like film 8. And when film 9 came out, I was I think I was burned so badly by 8 that it just made 9 just have like a bad taste in my mouth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That I think that's why a lot of people were dissing 9 because they were burned so badly by 8. Like and I will agree it is a lot better than 8. Like 9 is better than 8.
Oh
But
yeah, by far.
whoever yeah, I was going to say but whoever directed 8 destroyed it so badly. Like I genuinely think that it would almost have
I
ruined
don't think it
Star
was
Wars.
just the director. I think it was writing too. Because
Yeah.
there's always like everything comes together to make a movie happen and what
Mm-hmm.
makes a movie. But there's so many things split from one another and
Mm-hmm.
separate from one another, integral to one another, but still so separate. So like structure
Mm-hmm.
and writing two different things, but rely heavily upon one another. Directing and writing like two separate things, but really like heavily reliant on one another. I don't think it's just the director, right? I think it's the writing too, because
I will
I
agree.
don't.
I will agree with that.
Here's the
Yes.
thing: what I was trying to say earlier, and I didn't really see a lot of romance this time watching it. It was very much in my face when I went and watched it in theaters, but
Yeah.
I didn't really see it as a relationship and as a flirtationship
It was
this time around.
See, that's the thing. When
And
you
I
rewatch
think
it, go ahead.
I think what it was this time, it lost its flirtationship with me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm seeing it much more clearly now with so much more history behind it. Like I watched 7 and 8 in theater
Mm-hmm.
because I took my dad to go see. Because my dad took me and my sister to go see the prequel when they
Mm-hmm.
were in theaters because he went and saw the originals in theaters when he was younger. He wasn't a kid, he was just young. He was a young adult. So he took us to go see the prequels to bring us into his community and his
Mm-hmm.
fandoms and things like that. And so I repaid it to him. I'm like, here, the final trilogy, let me go take you to each one of these because you took me to go see them when I was young.
Yeah.
Um, so I watched 7 and 8, I couldn't take my dad to go see 9 in theaters. For whatever, I don't really remember because it was pre-pandemic. During the pandemic, me and my husband sat down and watched The Mandalorian, The Clone Wars, Rebels,
Right.
Resistance, all this stuff, and then I went and watched 9. And so rewatching it now with everything else behind me, with the movies freshly behind me, with stuff still like fresh in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as a flirtationship. I see it more now as the power struggle and the imbalance in the Force.
Ooh, okay. Because my thing.
So flirting is that kind of power dynamic
Mm-hmm.
and that play of power dynamic. With this, to me, with all my history with it, it looks like the Force trying to balance itself out between the two of them.
I can see
Now they
that.
could have pushed it a little bit more and made it more flirtatious and stuff, but I
Yeah.
think it's supposed to be that ambiguous power play for those who do have all of this history with Star Wars for it to be a
Ah.
force,
Mm-hmm.
and for those who aren't into it to be a romance.
I see. I see what you're getting at. Well, I can see that, but also they executed it poorly.
Oh yeah, it's fucking well for romance, yes. For
For
the force, no.
romance, well, yeah, yes, I understand the whole thing with the force, but like the in the ending with the kiss and the life force and all that stuff, like
Yeah,
it was supposed to be. I can understand it from your point of view, but also as someone who isn't a big Star Wars fan, it was clunky. Is the best way I
yeah,
could
it was
describe.
very
The
funky.
whole thing was
I'm
clunky to
just
me.
glad they weren't siblings or cousins.
Oh God, that would have been so much worse.
I was real like, cause that was
No,
the
it
biggest
would hold
story
the
for the movie.
continuity of the sibling kind of thing, coming from the first film. So I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
So I do think it's kind of fun for them to play that they were siblings or cousins or something, especially in reference to like the originals. But like, I'm
Yeah,
so glad we do not.
because I remember everyone was like, it would be so awkward if they were like siblings or cousins or like family, and I'm like, oh yeah, because they already did that trope earlier. They would keep the continuity of keeping it in the family. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But
I mean, it's the
that's
Skywalker saga for a reason.
yeah, that's true. Anyway, that's all I want to say about the films because in reality, like I don't think I like how the shows kind of go around the films, you know, and try to make
And
it,
that is
you
our
know.
Lord and Savior Dave Filoni coming in to like help
I was about
keep
to
this like
say, yeah, because it's the shows that are really holding the movies together, is what I've noticed, and which is good, because it'll branch off. But for the final films, I'm glad that Clone Wars existed like between 2 and 3. Like I'm glad that it existed between 2 and 3 because it was awesome. In the 3 episodes that I've seen, they were awesome. Now I
and
should
that
go ahead.
I don't remember I don't know if you remember this, but back in 2020, because you remember when I started watching it, I'd come in and lose my shit
Hmm.
every single time. Do you remember that one time I came in, I'm like, this show has no right to be as beautiful as it does.
Yes, I remember
No,
because you've been
these were the episodes I was talking about, and why I
yes
was trying to get you to watch this show so bad.
the episodes you sent to me.
Yes,
Okay,
those were the episodes I lost my shit over.
because they're gorgeous and the story is very story heavy, but also I could see why I needed 3 episodes. Like it's a lot. Now, now, I will preface that.
Mhm.
Preface this by saying I have seen Clone Wars before, but I didn't watch it as something that was like a canonical thing or a serial. I didn't when I watched it, I didn't watch it like it was like a serial show, you know? I thought it was episodic, if anyone knows what that means. So, I really really liked it, but I watched it so sporadically that I never really got attached to it. Does that make sense? Because my cousin, he was the one who really loved it. I will say that. So I have seen a few episodes, but I haven't really seen them in order. Until
Okay.
I should say that. I should reference that. So it's not like I haven't seen Clone Wars. I have only a few episodes. I don't know which season, and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
and you don't like, especially the further we get in, the more everything really starts to tie together.
right. So now let's dive into the shows. Do you want me to start with what I was watching so we can do from the prequels and a better understanding of the Force? Or do you
I
want to
would
start
like
with
to
Mando?
start. I was about to say, let me just start with I have not seen Andor yet. It
Oh,
follows Cassian
yes.
Andor, and it's supposed to be pre Rogue One. I've seen Rogue One, I've seen Solo, I have not seen Andor yet, just because
Mm,
I don't really care for the Rogue One storyline. Um,
I see. I feel like Rogue
I don't
One
really
really
care
tied
for
it.
this.
Like, I love the film, by the way. Rogue One was a phenomenal, like, standoff film.
I don't think it's a bad film. I think it's actually a pretty decent
It
film.
really is.
I have no emotional connection to any of those characters.
Oh, I did. But I liked how okay,
You
I hate to
can't.
say it. I
You can, ma'am, but I've already been emotionally attached to my like fictitious husband Rex
Oh, that's true.
for like 7 seasons,
Right.
probably more like 11 seasons due to Rebels.
I
Like I watched the shows before I watched Rogue One, so I was already emotionally attached to a lot of other different characters, and then you give me one movie to be connected to all of these characters, and I just couldn't.
Oh, I see. I absolutely loved the reason why Rogue One stood out to me so much was that was the first film in like a Star Wars franchise that their main characters were so completely diverse. Not
Hmm.
only in terms of like the actors, but within the world, they all had different cultures. They all had different like what is it? I guess practices spiritually and others. Like they were all
Hmm.
so different and I loved it. It made, at least to me, as a person of color, whoop, whoop, it like I felt included in the world, but also it made it feel bigger. Like the
Yes,
people, they're as diverse as these character arcs are, they belong to these planets or other places that are just equally diverse. Like it really tied it
society.
together for
Yeah.
me, and that's why I really, really do like Rogue One because you had to understand, or they had to understand each other and their culture and all this stuff. It was just, I love the film. It was like a definitely like a found family film, and I loved it. So good. Rogue One is my favorite side movie. I agree, as a standalone movie, like a spin-off film, fantastic. I think it
I mean,
beats.
we only have two like side movies. We got Solo and we got Rogue One.
That's true.
Obviously, Rogue One is like the superior of the two, but like
I was
I
to
am
say it
more
definitely
invested with
beats
the
Solo for
characters.
sure.
I was about to say, but I'm emotionally connected to the characters in Solo because all of these characters I already know. Well, not all of them, but most of these characters I already know. Especially with that post-credit scene.
It was great. All right, hold the phone. Okay, do you mind explaining? I will have to be right back. Do you mind
Yeah,
explaining? Okay. Um, okay, yeah, I'll be right back, you guys. 1 second.
I'm not sure what. I know, but what do you want me to explain? You're like, can you explain and then just
Oh,
stop?
my bad. Okay, give them a summary of episode 15, 16, and 17 so they know what they're getting into.
Okay.
All right, be right back.
So, what Raxie is referencing is I heavily suggested that she have to watch Clone Wars season 3, episode 15, 16, and 17, um, so that she can have a better appreciation of things when I refer to, especially in the sequel trilogy of like the Skywalker saga, when we're referencing things about the Force. Because it in episode 16, 15, 16, 17, we are introduced to the One, and they are physical embodiments of the light side of the Force, the dark side of the Force, and the balance of the Force. And they are referred to as the daughter, the son, and the father. Um, and so somehow the Jedi Council, well, the clone army ends up intercepting a encrypted transmission with a 2,000-year-old Jedi distress code, and so Obi-Wan volunteers to go out and take Anakin and Ahsoka with him, to go investigate what's going on, because everyone was concerned that it was going to end up being a trap. Well, yeah, it was going to end up being a trap, set by the Separatists. They were going to meet up with a um like a clone troop battleship just as protection so they can investigate. Where they went out to was beyond the outer rim, um which is like the edge of the galaxy for them. And they end up coming across this diamond shaped thing. Looks like and kind of acts like externally a starship, but we don't really get any explanation for this. They get brought in and wake up on this very, very exotic world, and when they go looking and kind of exploring, they are introduced and met up with the daughter, and she starts to lead them back to the father, and then they are interrupted by an event from the brother or the son, um, and Obi-Wan and Ahsoka get separated from Anakin and the daughter. The daughter leaves and tells them to wait there and not leave so she can go get her father and bring him back to them. Um, Plot ensues, things like that. A storm happens. Anakin gets separated, um, or seeks coverage, but ends up at the temple where the father is. Um, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka end up bumping into the son, and the son advises them to seek shelter. Um, and they do. And while Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are in a cave, Obi-Wan has visions of a Force ghost, Qui-Gon Jinn. Um, and Qui-Gon talks to Obi-Wan. Well, hey, welcome back. And Ahsoka ends up getting a premonition of herself from the future, which is very interesting because she looks nothing like any actual iteration of adult Ahsoka at any point.
Continuity error. Continuity error.
No, I don't know. I think it's a projection of herself because what she's wearing in that vision is her own outfit that she's actively wearing.
Yes, I saw that.
So I think it's just a projection. It's not just like the Force trying to talk to her, it's a projection of herself. Because
Ah.
what her vision tells her is like, you know that you have darkness or the dark side inside of you because of your master.
Yes, because they said that your master is like implanting seeds of the dark side in you, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, technically that's true, but I was like, oh,
Yep. Um, so I only got to that point when explaining.
okay,
Um,
okay, you can keep going. You can keep going.
so Anakin meets up with the father. The father's like, it's storming right now. We'll go out in the morning to get your friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Anakin goes to sleep and has a vision of his mother. Um,
Yes.
and it's very interesting because she is trying to tell him not to let the guilt consume him and to let it go. Like she had always stated when she was alive and we saw her in the prequels.
Yes.
But come to find out, it's just an image manipulation of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very like it's They're
Which makes
so good.
okay. This is where okay, I have a lot of questions. Actually,
I know you have a lot of questions.
I was about to say, let's continue finishing before I state my questions, because I
Okay.
feel like that we will
Um,
never get through it if I do this. You know.
so when Anakin wakes up and comes to, well, like he confronts the father,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we see something very interesting between both the son and the father, is that when Obi-Wan and Ahsoka confronted the son and drew their lightsabers,
Mm-hmm.
the son just like turned it off. He's like, no, we're gonna just stop that.
Yeah.
The father full on grabs Anakin's lightsaber
Yeah.
and just like pushes it, like closes it down. He's just like, no, we're not about that right now. We're gonna talk civilized. The father tells Anakin that he has a test and that to see if he is the chosen one,
Mm-hmm.
he will have to take this test. So the daughter and the son go and get Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. The daughter gets Obi-Wan and the son gets Ahsoka, which is
Yes.
all like has always been, and this is why I'm really mad about like episode 3 of the prequels, is because there is no like actual conflict and imbalance in Anakin between the light and the dark. We just see the dark
Mm-hmm.
win. With this, we see Anakin conflicted. It's like, who should I save? I can like, if he is not the chosen one, he can only save one of them.
Yes.
Um, and Obi-Wan's like, save Ahsoka, which is interesting because Ahsoka is the representation of attachment, which the Jedi are not
Ooh.
supposed.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't get that the first time. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, also, like, I already had 2.5 seasons building up to this.
Right.
Like, it's very, very clear that Ahsoka or Anakin has attachment. Um, so Anakin ends up forcing both the daughter and the son to release them
Mm-hmm.
and control them and bow to his will. Um, and releases Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. And that shows the father and the daughter and the son that he is the chosen one because only the chosen one can bring balance to the force.
Yes. By his, I guess the visualization is he saved both of them, keeping the balance,
Hmm.
which I think is very interesting.
Well, not necessarily.
Hmm.
This is what I was talking about last week, is that, and this is where the Jedi fell, is that Anakin can have attachment as long as he doesn't allow it to consume him.
Ah.
But he was never taught that because the Jedi are taught to not have attachment.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. As do you want to continue to the last? Because that was the second episode, 16. So what is 17 then?
Um,
Because that's where
well, we,
well, actually I have a lot of questions on all three episodes. But
yeah, no, there are a lot of episodes.
okay, because
There's
this.
so many like questions with the episodes. Um, so we end up getting eventually, um, they like our humans go to leave. So
Mhm.
Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka go to leave. Um, but for whatever reason, I don't really remember at this point. I'm
Oh,
tired.
I was gonna say I can take over for a little bit. Nasium says they get into the difference between compassion and toxic attachments in other episodes of Clone Wars. If we're talking between compassion and toxic attachments, I can definitely see the toxic attachment to Padme, and because as we discussed in our previous podcast last week, because we were doing the prequels, in our previous podcast last week, he was a very toxic person to Padme. So I can see why that would
Yep.
be like a very toxic attachment instead of something that is with compassion. Because we're very selfish, especially in episode 3, which we've already discussed. So that makes sense.
I'm gonna derail us for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
I I think with Padme specifically, it's generational abuse is what that is.
Mm. Still, it's
And
toxic
I
as
think you
hell.
mentioned it is toxic as
Mm-hmm.
hell, but like there is a major difference between how he treats Padme and how he treats Ahsoka. And like I get
Oh,
it,
yes.
one like a child and a ward kind of situation, but with we see in the prequels that and like in Clone Wars, but they make it very clear in the prequels that Palpatine uses emotional manipulation and
Yes.
abuse to control Anakin, and Anakin takes it out on Padme.
But he also uses that same kind of control over Padme. So she probably sees
Right.
it as
So it's
normal.
a generational thing, and but
Mm.
we also see that in the originals. We see like Palpatine is like manipulating Luke and things like that, and like Vader kind of lets that slide, but he kind of like eventually fights back from that. But in the sequels, we see Kylo try and use that on Rey, and Rey doesn't tolerate that at all. No one
Oh, yes,
actually falls for
true.
that emotional abuse and manipulation anymore.
That's true. That's true. That yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
why I want you to watch the shit.
Okay. All right. So I know we don't have this sucks. We only have 45 minutes and this is not enough to discuss. So, let me go ahead and tell you my because you explained it very well, I think, the episodes that we were watching. Now, let me explain it to you by someone who's never seen any of the other shows in sequential order. Okay?
Okay.
Marvelous. Boom. Done. Moving on. I'm just kidding. No, so as I was watching
Yeah, you're
this,
right.
I was okay. So as I was watching this, I was also live chatting to Abby and like sending her pictures and videos of like the scenes that I was watching because I was like, well, one to make note, but also
Yeah.
it was fantastic. It was really for those
It was
three
also really
episodes.
kind of funny.
Yeah, it was. Oh wait, you mean what? How I was texting it to you?
Well, yeah, like you sent a picture, and I'm like, that's my man.
Oh yeah. Because I was introduced to Rex, which it's not really introduced, but like Rex was in the episode 15 at the very beginning, and I was like, I know who that is.
And at the very end of 7.
Yes, and because they found them. So, um, the animation fantastic. When you mentioned again at the prequels the interactions between Anakin and Obi-Wan, you
Mm-hmm.
were absolutely right. They had so much more chemistry in the shows. And in those three
But
episodes, you
also,
could
like,
see it.
there's consistent chemistry in Clone Wars too, and it's so infuriating with the prequels because their interactions are all over the place for
Mm-hmm.
no reason.
I was about to say, I actually enjoyed the chemistry, but I also enjoyed the chemistry through all three of them, between all three of them.
Yeah.
Now, I've already had a crush, like, I already had a crush on Ahsoka because, again, I've seen her and her fighting style and everything. I'm obsessed
Um,
with, I just love strong women, and Ahsoka's one of them. I love her. But
Wait until you see her in like
her own show,
season
yes.
7
Oh, wait, season 7.
or in Rebels because it's just like, oh,
She's phenomenal. I loved her. Like I remember, I liked her
I'm
before, but she
so
was
hesitant
she. This
about
is
the live action.
I was gonna say she was very naive in the first episodes that I've seen. Like that, I was introduced to Ahsoka. Incredibly
Mhm.
naive. I will say that. But in the
Which
episodes you
is
showed me,
fair
which is fair, it is fair. Not gonna lie, it is fair.
because she's only about 15, 16 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
She's still really young.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still, because she was raised in the Jedi Temple, probably around 3 or 4 years old, she still has this religious disillusion
Mm-hmm.
that we both know as adult women
Yeah.
and who grew up in very religious households and communities. She, we can't blame her for that.
No, no, I understand.
We're not,
No,
but it's,
but I also think, and this is why that was before I saw 15, 16, and 17. Let me just put a pin on that was season 3. She, a literal child in early seasons, and she is a child. I understand.
Mm.
I promise I understand. But the reason why I brought that up is because in these episodes, because again, this is
Yeah.
what I had for memory, right? The naivete, the the youngster. I feel like in these episodes is one of her coming of age arcs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because at
It
this,
is a major. Hmm.
yes, you know what I'm getting at,
Yeah.
because in these,
Well, I also know Ahsoka's arc. Like,
right,
I understand her growth point in
right.
the show.
But even as someone like me who hasn't seen it, I noticed it. That's good writing, right? I can pick it out and be like, okay, I well
Glorious
again,
Dave Filoni, our Lord and Savior.
yeah. So, but like at that, so I was very impressed with the writing. Let me just go ahead and say, of the three
Hmm.
episodes, because it was something not only that she's trying to battle within herself, as like the projection of herself, like you were mentioning, but
Hmm.
also I feel like this gives her more of the gray area. Like you mentioned that she's like a gray or doesn't really follow or, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it,
Well, yeah. So, like, a gray is still, like, religiously a Sith. So we
mm-hmm,
hear from both the daughter and especially the son that it's just like, I am the Sith and I am not the Sith. The
mm-hmm.
Sith are part of the dark side. They aren't, like, the dark side is not the Sith.
I, so I,
So it falls within like, the Jedi and the Sith are two sides of the same religious coin,
right,
basically.
right, right, right. That's a good way to put it. But
Um,
go ahead.
and the Greys kind of just hold that coin in their hand.
Mm.
So they are both, specifically in the religion of the Jedi.
See, I'd probably be a gray or a Sith, yeah,
That's
that
if you
probably.
choose to follow the religious kind of interpretations
Mm-hmm.
of Jedi Sith, kind of the Force. Because again, there are other religions of the Force
See,
that you really need to fucking watch Clone
I was
Wars
gonna
so you
say
can
this is gonna be a
experience
lot,
that.
but I will say this. I will say this. And okay, as beautiful as the art is in that show, because again, the
Yes.
way that their expressions were, their movements, all of that was so smooth in these three episodes. Like they were so smooth, including the fight scenes, which I also, they're very good.
Fucking wait till you get to season 7 where they remade it for 2020.
Okay, listen,
Like,
it
they
was good.
made it in 2020.
I was gonna say it was good. Everything was very smooth. I was very I appreciated it. It was all good. I want to see Ahsoka. I'm glad she has her standalone show, which is coming up this year.
I don't know how I
I
feel
want to
about
see the
Rosario.
growth because I remember it when she was a child, the naivete, and then her, her first. I don't know if this is like her first or however many like steps into, her self awareness, and coming of age kind of thing. But in those
I
three
believe this is
episodes,
the
it was
first
so.
major push.
I was gonna say it was so
Like,
well
she had
done.
other things, but this is the first real push.
And this is why I think this. Because she, at the time, this is in that one short scene where she's seeing her, like, viewing herself. I don't think I told you, but I rewound it a little bit because I wanted to see the scene again. I was like, there's something in the scene, right? And I think this
Yeah.
is where it came for me. Again, this is more of a psychological standpoint, me less of the Star Wars lore, because
Yeah.
I got to add some of that psychology in there. It is her, I guess, because it's her adult self trying to warn her and stuff like that, of her master implanting dark seeds. But it's
Mhm.
also, I think, because she puts this her master in such a pedestal, because even the way she talks about him, like on a pedestal,
Mhm.
that that is like her first sense of doubts, and she's hearing it from a future version of herself. And she was like, I don't ever want to doubt him. However, if my future version or this vision that I had is warning me, do I listen to the vision? Do I listen to my master? It is that first sign of conflict within herself to be like, do I blindly find this, like follow this person, like with the naivete? or do I have some kind of critical thinking skills to admit that, yeah, maybe there is some like dark bits inside of me, the seeds of dark forest inside of me? Because like it's, I think her first chance of like feeling doubt towards her master, or like the
Yeah.
heavy doubt. And I think that's very important to any, especially for someone so young, to deal with,
Right.
because then that's when you start thinking critically and you see her master as not a master, but more of a human. Does that make sense?
Right. And
And
that,
oh, and anytime there's like
see,
a,
here's the thing that Obi-Wan would have never really like encouraged her to he so Obi-Wan and Anakin are very similar in the way that they would have like encouraged her to do critical thinking.
mm-hmm,
Anakin would have been more likely to encourage her to like question some of like not really question, but it's like critically think how you could bend this rule.
yeah,
Obi-Wan would have encouraged her to into critical thinking, but not really question the Jedi Temple.
yeah,
This is why people say that the reason Qui-Gon was killed was because it allowed Anakin to be influenced more by the dark side, because Qui-Gon would have been able to teach Anakin critical thinking
interesting. See,
in a way that he would have followed and been more balanced.
and that's the thing. This is how you know it's fucking good writing, okay?
Yeah.
Because when I was watching these 3 episodes, I got that immediately, and I was like,
Hmm.
"This is very good writing." Like, I get what they are trying to portray with each of these characters in this show. Now, again, Obi-Wan is still, I feel like, because he had that conversation with Qui-Gon, and I
Hmm.
feel like he's so stuck in his ways, not really.
He is.
Yeah, he's just so stuck that he just doesn't have he like he. My thing is, I think he's just trying to prove to his master. I'm pretty sure that Qui-Gon, with him being taken away, he was too young to be a master, in my opinion. I don't think
Well,
Obi-Wan was
he did
ready at the
not
time.
become a master until later.
Right.
He became Jedi Knight.
Jedi
So
Knight.
there's a difference between a knight and a master.
Mm.
Anakin is a Jedi Knight. He was put on the council as a Jedi Knight, but was denied the title of a master.
Right, and that's what was so insulting to him in episode 3.
Yeah.
I remember that. But like with
So
Obi-Wan, I still it's
Obi-Wan didn't become a master until later. He took Anakin under his wing once he became a knight.
right. I feel that, in my opinion, in the again those 3 episodes that I've seen,
Hmm.
he's Obi-Wan is very selfish. But, and this is the thing, he's kind of sort of selfish, but still does things that seem selfless for the Force. Does that make sense?
I don't think it's very specifically selfish to him.
That's
I
what I
think it's
mean. Because he's following the rules of the Jedi Order.
right.
But it
He is
still comes off as selfish to me. Because he was like, oh, save Ahsoka. But are you saving Ahsoka because you want to save Ahsoka? Or are you doing it because it's the Jedi way? It doesn't.
no, I think there was enough of it like
Because he's still kind.
of an attachment. No, I do think that there's enough of an attachment between like from Obi-Wan towards Ahsoka because he kind of sees her as like a granddaughter-esque kind of
Mm,
like very loosely in that term where
okay.
it's just like, oh, you're Anakin is my son in a very loose sense. You're Anakin's daughter, so you are in a sense kind of like
My
my
grandkid.
granddaughter, kind of like
Yeah.
very loose attachment.
Okay. Nasim says
Um,
this. He says he always interpreted Obi-Wan as being less selfish and more in over his head. You know what? I can also agree to that.
yeah,
I genuinely can see that because, like, in not only in the prequel films, like you definitely see that, but I can also see it here, like in
there's
the show.
there's just enough attachment from Obi-Wan to for him to be like, no, no, save Ahsoka. It's also kind of that mindset where there is no future without the youth and the young. So it's
Mm,
like protect her. She's also a child. I'm an adult. I have a better chance of getting out of this by myself
Mm-hmm.
than she does. So it's not necessarily exclusively a selfish thing,
I
but
see.
it's definitely not exclusively
Selfless.
Jedi way
Yeah, I see. Okay, because
because there
that's
is attachment in that.
I see that. I can see that. Like his character is okay, and again, I've seen bits and pieces of him. I want to analyze it, but that's just
Bitch,
how
this
I
is
am.
why I tell you, you gotta watch the show. You want to analyze this shit? Watch
As I
the
say,
show.
you saw me psychoanalyze fucking Ahsoka. And
Yes.
by the way, you guys, this is typical for me as because I love psychology and I love psychoanalyzing characters and films and media because that's just who I am. That's how you can tell it's good writing. Like you can genuinely tell it's good writing because I want to psychoanalyze all these characters, right?
Mhm.
And you
And this
know
is
me.
3 episodes. This is just 3 episodes, ma'am. Now do you see why I've been like begging you to watch this
Yeah,
show?
yeah. I will say this too, because I was watching these episodes, right? And I was by myself, so I was really enjoying myself. I was like a little burrito and like comfort with. I actually had popcorn for this. Like I genuinely had popcorn, so I could watch this with popcorn. And I was sitting there, and I was like, "This fucking show is definitely something that would be up my alley." But I feel like a lot of the terms would go over my head. You know what I mean? Like the
And
mitochondria, I mean the midichlorian, that kind of stuff. Like
we don't really get into midichlorian.
okay, cuz
We,
like
we
it was you know terms like that will fly over my head. I will not lie. They will. They just will. But as a show, very good. And you said The Bad Batch is also an animated show?
Yes,
I want to
it
see
it
this.
immediately follows after Clone Wars.
Yeah, so I but I can't watch it until I've seen Clone Wars, which there's a lot of seasons.
Yeah,
I feel
I'll
like
watch it with you.
oh
I'll do it.
no hold the phone. I do not get ahead. Let's not get ahead of ourselves because I I have to do like what they did for what is it? Adventure Time
Hmm.
where they have like a set list of important episodes in chronological order that
No,
you could do to follow the
you got,
story without the fillers cuz
you
I'm
gotta
probably
watch
going to do
all of
that.
it. You gotta watch all of it.
But I got
None
to
of
do
it's
that.
filler.
I don't have
No, no, no,
time.
no.
I'm watching
It's
Jackie Chan
Dave
Adventures.
Filoni. Nothing is just filler, ma'am.
Okay,
Nothing
listen.
is just filler.
But I
So,
have.
okay, you remember how? Wait. You remember how when we talked about the original trilogy that I told you there is shit like from Clone Wars that we never got like closure for. We never got resolution for. Guess the fuck what? We're getting closure for it now in Bad Batch.
Ooh. Well, that's nice. That
Like
must be nice.
everything is fucking important. Everything is fucking important. Like when it comes to Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, all of it, ma'am,
Okay, so
all of it.
I was about to say. So I know we only have like I'm trying to speed things because I really want to talk about Mandalorian. We're gonna end with the Mandalorian. I still don't quite understand because it's maybe it's because I've only watched a few of the episodes, like the first two seasons. I haven't gotten at all to the third season. So my thing is this, and maybe you can do this in the next 30 minutes. But how
We'll
does
see.
that tie? How does it all tie in? Because and let's be real,
Okay.
in the first season, it did feel like its own standalone show, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The premise was very basic, all of that stuff. Like it was just a basic like feel good show about a man and a boy, like, a man with his newly adopted son. Okay, that's the show,
Mm-hmm.
which we all fucking loved. Okay, and the what is it? Baby Yoda was called Baby Yoda. He didn't have a name, right?
No, he was just called the child.
Oh yes, but we as the audience called him Baby Yoda. We even had a song on TikTok
And
about
that's
it.
why it confused people so bad, even though we had clear indicators roughly when we were in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
People were very, very confused by it. I'm like, no, it's clearly fucking there. Like not like an exact date, but we have like very, very important markers on when this was.
Right, right.
So it
Because
couldn't have
again,
been
it's going to
Baby
be between
Yoda.
6 and 7 is when. I thought Mandalorian started between 6
Nope.
and 7. When does it start?
Oh, 6 and 7, yes.
Yeah, the films between
Freaking-
episode 6 and episode 7. Yeah, that's when it starts. That's what my husband was telling
So
me.
the fall of the Empire.
Yes, yes. Newly fallen empire, that kind of stuff.
Not
Yes.
newly fallen. This has been a minute.
Wait, how long? How many years? I thought it was right after. Is it not?
It wasn't immediately after, but it
Oh.
wasn't like years after.
How
Because
many
we have
time span? Are we talking
information
about like
that
a decade?
no, not even a decade.
A few decades?
It's probably maybe like 3 to 5 years at
Oh,
At
3 to 5
most.
years. Okay, I thought it was more than that. It's less than that. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
It's
Got it.
very much less than that because it is still the Empire is still trying to have control and they don't. So it can't be too far out because the Empire would be like irrelevant. People
Mm,
would not still be afraid of them.
right. But
But
it's.
people are not as concerned about them.
Mhm. Oh,
9 years.
yeah, 9 years. So, okay, maybe not a full decade. Maybe I was off by a year. Sue
So,
me.
okay, Nauseam, all the abbreviations always,
Episode 7 is 34 years?
yes,
So they do a time jump? Wait, I'm confused. I thought you said it was 9 years.
No. Mando is 9 years.
Oh, episode 7, the movie is 30. I got it. I really need to see this
34 years.
timeline. I need to see what you said. Disney got it. I gotta find that shit.
It's not like a timeline, everything's just in order.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So it's still probably only like Yavin is the first rebel base we see in 6, right? No, 4.
Hmm?
Hang on. Hang on.
Oh,
I'm gonna
I thought he was calling you Abby, but it's after Battle of Yavin is Abby.
Yeah,
That's so
it's
dumb.
ABY. So it's
Okay.
like our equivalent of BCE and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Um,
okay, okay. That gives me something.
and it has its own kind of like specific points in each thing. So Yavin 4,
I see.
yeah, the after Battle of Yavin. So it's still like so there's like a 2 to 3 year time jump between episode 4 and episode 5. And so it still only puts it at about like maybe 6 to 7 years after the actual fall of the Empire up on Endor.
Mm. Hmm.
Let's see here.
Because again, I still don't know exactly a lot of the timeline. So I was like, I posted a screenshot of the major timeline in Discord. So Mando is 5 years after the Return of the Jedi. Okay, so it's 5 years.
Yeah, the Empire
Oh,
Strikes
I
Back
see. Okay.
is 3 years ABY because Yavin is so like we talked about it and they went to this rebel base in episode 4 and I told you, hey, Poe Dameron is like canonically from Yavin because Oscar Isaac is half Guatemalan, and the Yavin scenes were filmed in Guatemala. So it's still only so the Empire Strikes Back is 3, Return of the Jedi is 4. So again, like from the fall of the Empire, it's still only 5 years.
I see.
Like the actual fall of the Empire.
Okay. So, okay.
Also, I call bullshit that it's only been a year between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Like, Finn's hair implies at least 2 to 3.
I was about to say, because that wouldn't make sense, right? A year after? That's still so soon with all this going on. Okay, okay, sorry. Going back to topic. The
Thank you,
yes, thank you. So
See, so Mando is 5 years. Look at that.
All right, hold on 1 second.
You-
All right, all right, all right. Sorry about that. So again, my question is this: the the fuck Mando. That's what we were talking about. So the Mandalorian, and we saw how it is in the timeline, and we saw like season one. I told you was just a man and his newly adopted son and all this stuff. Where does all of it tie into like the lore of like when does it all tie into the lore of what Star Wars is? You know, with I'm assuming Boba
Specifically,
Fett is
you
is
won't
standing.
you won't like the hook that gets it really into
Yes, that's
everything.
what I'm
We get
because
like
yes, that's what I'm
so
looking for because
Grogu.
I was gonna say
Hang
because
hang on. So Grogu is the overlying storyline for the Mandalorian. End of discussion. They are trying to collect him for his midichlorians, and I am assuming that it is because they are trying to create Palpatine and give Palpatine more power from stolen midichlorians. So there's that.
mm-hmm,
When it gets hooked into the entire franchise for those who are invested into like the overarching like major lore, the extended like the true extended universe
mm-hmm.
is the Black Saber. Moff Gideon coming out with the Black Saber.
Wait, the black saber? All right, hold on. I need to look at
Yep.
Wikipedia. I gotta find this out.
And that is why me and my husband started watching Clone Wars. Is because it was
Saber.
introduced
Oh,
in Clone Wars.
black saber was a code name for a data tape in the Galactic Empire data vault on Scarif. The Rebel Alliance member Jyn Erso mentioned it while searching for the Death Star plans. Ooh, wait. So what does this have to do with anything?
Because it brings in like a major lore. So it's the Black Saber was never a Jedi saber. It was exclusively a Mandalorian saber. It is the
Oh.
only non quote unquote lightsaber
Mm-hmm.
outside of the Jedi Sith religion.
Interesting, because it says here, I'm looking at when the appearances of the Black Saber was mentioned and such.
Mhm.
It was mentioned in Rogue One. That's when it was first
Yep.
mentioned. That's so crazy. So, okay.
No. Clone Wars came out well before Rogue One, and it is a major plot
Oh,
point.
it also said Clone Wars, but, the first one was like
And
a
it is a
lightsaber.
major fucking plot point in Rebels. So they're like, oh, Rogue One. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The shows are what carry this dark saber.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's something that I'm just, again, I'm looking for these specific terms that I haven't heard before. So I trust the Wikipedia. Thank God
Yes.
I literally had it up on tab because I was like, I'm probably gonna need it for these things. So anyway, continuing. You said the Black Saber starts the Mando in connection to the Star Wars universe.
The dark saber.
The
So
dark
like
saber.
obviously other things like we get like references and like bits of the Empire here and there. We get some
Mm-hmm.
stormtroopers here and there. But the real hook is the black saber or the dark saber.
Okay, so you said the
It's
Black
not
Saber
black.
before. It's the Dark Saber
It's
is what you're talking about.
it is the dark saber because it is not light.
Dark
Yes,
Saber.
we have like the white outline of it just so we can have like visually interesting.
Okay, okay. So those are two
But
different
it is
sabers.
not light.
Right.
It is
Now,
it is darkness. When we get in Rebels, we have a Mandalorian named Sabine Wren.
mm-hmm.
Back while Mandalore was still a living planet and still had inhabitants on it. Um, Later we get like the Empire that completely destroys it, all this stuff scatters the Mandalorians to the winds and throughout the galaxy. Um, we get an explanation from Kanan Jarrus, who is our Jedi Master that helps our little like teen protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
Ezra Bridger, learn how to use the Force. but because he is the Jedi Master, he knows how to use a lightsaber and has that knowledge already. So when Sabine obtains the dark saber through combat, thus
Okay.
making her the rightful ruler of Mandalore, she doesn't know how to use it
Okay. Okay.
because Mandalorians are a warrior people. Well, end up becoming a warrior. Our warrior people go through a time of peace, end up becoming warrior people again. So she knows how to use a sword,
Mm-hmm.
but she doesn't know how to use a light/dark saber because it flows differently. And so we get from Kanan while he's training her that when it engages with a lightsaber, that it actually they pull on one another.
Oh,
They pull into one another.
interesting. Okay.
So it is technically it is a one of a kind item created by the Mandalore, um, the original founder of the Mandalorians.
Hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So when did it start picking up? This wasn't in season two, was it? Or was it season two that this
No,
is
no, it was season one.
season one? Oh, I must have missed it.
So we get in season two
Mm-hmm.
Din Djarin, Mando, Din
Yes.
Djarin fighting Moff Gideon because Moff Gideon ended up quote unquote becoming the ruler of Mandalore because he did win the dark saber in
Oh.
in combat. That's how you become because again, it's a battle, it's a warrior society. He is quote unquote the rightful ruler of Mandalore at the moment. So Din Djarin fights Moff Gideon and ends up taking it rightfully in battle. And so now he is the ruler of Mandalore. And it
Hmm.
is now quoted in season three. Um, Obviously, spoilers, we've been warning it the entire time.
Obviously, there's still the spoilers are right on the screen.
Yep. So there's this prophecy that Mandalore will rise again when the Mandalore, it's Mandalorians, Mandalorian, the Mandalore, like it gets confusing and I'm very sorry. There's nothing I can control about it. He becomes the rightful ruler of Mandalore, um, due to all these circumstances.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I was about to say because then with the Mandalorian again, I've seen the ending of season two.
Hmm.
Um, what is season three about? Could you give me a brief summary? Because like I know in season two, wait, was it the
It's
reveal? Wait, okay, remind me. The reveal of Ahsoka was in Mandalorian season two, right?
one in season two. And that, okay, so again, the major hook that brings the Mandalorian into the series, not just the franchise, but into the series, is the Black Saber.
The black
Because it's
saber. Oh,
like
okay, okay.
the dark saber is
Wait,
exclusively seen in the series.
okay. Is it so? The
We have
black
never
saber and the
seen it in
dark
any of
saber
the
are
movies.
two different sabers. Which one are we talking about mostly? Not the black
Dark
saber,
saber.
the dark saber. Okay, because the
Okay.
black saber is the one that was in Rogue One, but the dark saber is from the show because I've pulled it up on the wiki.
It's basically the same thing.
No, they
Basically,
absolutely isn't. It literally clearly states in the wiki, do not confuse with the dark saber.
I'll fight the Wookiee. I'll fight.
I was about to say
I'll
because they're
lose,
like,
but
do
I'll
not
fight.
like not to be confused with the like with the black saber. There's like not to be confused with the dark saber, which is okay. So it is two different sabers. One, yeah, there's it seems like two
Actually,
different sabers.
speaking of Wookiee, like Wookiees in general, the race. Chewbacca is probably the most consistent canonical character in the entire fucking franchise. Because not
Oh
only do
yeah.
we see him in the prequels, in the sequels, and the originals, we also do get him in Clone Wars. We get him in Rebels. We like he just shows up fucking everywhere.
Okay. Also, Nauseam is
And that's
correct.
extremely humorous to me.
I was gonna say also Nauseam is correct. Black saber in Rogue One is code for yeah. It was a data tape. That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
It's not a sword. So the dark
So it's a
saber
dark
is a
thing.
sword, but the black saber is a code name. Let's get that
Yeah.
the facts straight over here on the podcast. Okay, we want to give you clear facts about Star
We
Wars.
want to be factual when we bother
Factual.
being factual about shit.
Exactly.
Um,
But yes, so the dark saber is
so
something that's very important in the Mandalorian.
so the dark saber gets hooked into Clone Wars and Rebels, but into Clone Wars because
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are introduced into the Mandalorian culture and all the conflicts in that. We get Ahsoka
Yes.
and Bo-Katan in season 2. I remember
Yes.
you were like, "Hang on, is this? Wait, I can't show her this. I feel like this is a spoiler." When you asked me about Bo-Katan,
Oh yes, yes, yes.
or were going to ask me about Bo-Katan.
Right. Because again, you don't watch trailers. You wait until the episode is out, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
And I try not to, because
I
again,
avoid social media, all of it.
right. I don't mind spoilers for a show that I haven't watched. So I think there was a spoiler. So I didn't want to spoil anything until I know for a fact you have seen it. So I waited.
Well, also it had comparison, so it had Clone Wars, Rebels, and then the live action.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so Ahsoka ties very specifically Ahsoka's episode in Mando ties it in because she is looking for, in my opinion, we never get confirmation. In my opinion, she is looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn, which
Mm.
was her major villain, which was the overarching like antagonist for the entirety of Rebels, but it was basically her villain, like nemesis, in Rebels. And Pricey, can I have the rest of this time?
Yes, you can. You can
This
have all. I'm
because
listening. This is your
this
field of
is about
study.
me about to go fucking
I
unhinged.
was about to say, this is your field of study. So, like, I was talking about psychoanalyzing Ahsoka. This is yours. Tell me everything.
So, okay, so this is why I lost my shit. Episode
Yes.
1 of season 3 Mandalorian.
Okay. This is something that you've been
We
wanting to say. This is the thing that
the
kickstarted
entire
all of
fucking
this.
time.
Yes, this is what kickstarted the entire month of Mando Madness. Is
Because I
all come
lost my
down to
shit.
this. Yes.
Um, so Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, is an animated show that falls within the timeline pre and during um the original trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
We follow Ezra Bridger. He is our protagonist. He's our hero. He's the one we follow. He's a child. He's a 15-year-old boy when we start. Um, and he joins the Rebel Alliance, learns to become a Jedi from Kanan Jarrus.
Mm-hmm.
We gather up all of our beloved, or most of our beloved characters from Clone Wars. So we get Rex, we get Ahsoka, we get Hondo Ohnaka, we get Lando Calrissian, we get all these characters. And Ahsoka ends up kind of being the neutral guiding light for
Yeah.
Ezra. But obviously he like the Jedi Sith religion is the Sith kind of more exclusive, like yeah, very exclusive. It's the rule of two. But the Jedi are very like communal. It's like we teach all younglings, and all younglings learn from all masters. They have one that is designated master, but they will learn from everybody. Um, so their main antagonist is Grand Admiral Thrawn,
Yes. You mentioned that to me. Yes.
and so Ezra at the very end is like, we gotta do this big, huge fight against him, even though he's this master strategist and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta do this so that the Resistance has a chance against the Empire. Like,
Okay.
our little tiny little pod of Resistance has to go up against him, or the rest of the Resistance will never have a chance against the Empire. So Ezra, as we see through Rebels, is very force sensitive with nature.
Okay.
And so he has a very strong influence with creatures and a connection with creatures.
Okay.
So how Ezra ends up fighting Thrawn is he calls these things called Purgles, which are referred to as space wells, and they can fly through hyperspace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the few creatures we see canonically can do that. Like, within the franchise. Like, I'm
You've
sure there
mentioned
are
this to
other
me before. Yeah.
Yep. I'm
Wait,
sure
which?
there's other creatures and legends, but what we see in the franchise, these are like the only creatures we see that can travel through hyperspace.
Okay.
Um, so Ezra calls these creatures to him to take him and Thrawn into hyperspace and just away. We don't know where they go. Ezra tells Sabine, "You have to come find me. Come find me. Come get me."
Okay.
Because they're like brothers and sisters. Like,
Yeah.
he's from Lost and she's from Mandalore. Um, so it's like they have this brother sister bond.
Like the sibling
Like,
relationship kind of thing.
he's like, "Come find," because their little tiny rebel pod is like that found family, like beautifully found
Oh.
family kind of situation. We have a mom and dad, an uncle, a sister, a brother, a war criminal. You still gotta watch it for Top 100%, please do. Um, so she goes looking for him for years and years and years. And in the finale, we see Ahsoka appear, and she's like, "How can I help you find him?" Because she knows that Thrawn is not dead, that she needs to be the one to kill Thrawn, because Ezra, as a child, never will be able to.
Right.
They have to find Ezra to find Thrawn. So when we get into Mando season 2, Ahsoka is like, "Where is your master?" And we know that it is not Palpatine. We know that it is not Vader. We know that it is not specifically the Empire. I know that it is Thrawn that she is looking for,
Ooh.
based off her history with it.
So you think that's going to be resolved in? Okay, so let's say that.
But
You think
no,
that's
no,
going to
no.
be in Ahsoka? Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I really don't. I think it might, because I think we're gonna try and stick exclusively to the Mando Grogu kind of like relation through Mandalorian,
I
kind
think
of keep
so.
it neat and clean and kind of like concise,
Mm-hmm.
not like really go out there. Since we're on limited episodes. With Clone Wars, the amazing thing was it was a 22 episode series, or seasons per series up until season 7. Um, but the reason I think we're going to end up getting Ezra, like, I've been losing my shit since we've been getting the live action stuff. I need fucking Ezra Bridger in a live action show. Everybody else has made an appearance in a second series. So we see
Oh,
Rex in Clone Wars, we get
right.
Rex again in Rebels. We get Ahsoka in Clone Wars, we get Ahsoka again in Rebels,
Oh.
and Mando and Boba, like, everybody, every main character, like, we get Cassian Andor in Rogue One, he gets his own show kind of situation. Ezra Bridger is one of the only major characters that is technically still alive. Like, he is off, gone, blasted to wherever, but he is still technically alive. That has not shown up again. Even spoilers, I'm so sorry. Kanan Jarrus dies in Rebels, and we still get him as a Force ghost in Episode 9 of the saga.
Of which saga?
Like, the Skywalker
Oh,
saga.
oh,
He's
oh,
one of the
okay, okay.
voices that talk to Rey. Like, all of those
You
Jedis that
pointed that
talk,
out. Yeah, you told me
Kanan
about
Jarrus
that.
still talks to her.
Right.
Like,
Right.
everybody else except Ezra shows back up. And
Mm.
so we get in episode 1, or yes, episode 1 of season 3 Mandalorian, we get this hyperdrive jump, or hyperspace jump, that's all peaceful, all beautiful. It's like, why do we have that? And I'm losing my shit. My husband's losing his shit.
Yeah.
We're space wells. Give us fucking space wells, and we get the shadows of the space wells in the background.
Okay, because I remember you talking
We
to me about it
have to
because you were
fucking
freaking out.
get Ezra Bridger. Like, it may just be like, "Hi guys, what's up?" End of season 3. I'm fine with that, but we have to fucking get him at this point. We have too much leading up. I'm surprised I didn't scare your follower silent, and I'm surprised I didn't scare the shit out of Nauseum, because when season or episode 1 hit,
It was yes.
I lost my shit.
Can
I
I
lost my
just
shit. so many people.
Can I just say, I was one of those people. Can I just say that when episode 1 of Mandalorian hit, you immediately like were texting me about it, freaking out because like you were like, Did your husband see it? Did he get it? Did he understand it?" No, because he is not a watcher of the show. He doesn't watch Clone
He
Wars.
hasn't seen Rebels, and that
Yeah,
it
that
is
too.
one of those things that is so subtle that if you haven't seen it, it's gonna go over your head.
And
You're
I
not
think
gonna
it did.
understand the importance.
I'll say I think it did for him. Like I think it really did like go over his head. Which again, there's nothing wrong with it. He's a casual, a little bit more of a Star Wars
He is
nerd than
less
me.
unhinged than I am. He
Yeah,
is
let's go
more
with
put
that.
together
Yeah,
than
he's
him.
more calm and really trying to figure it out, which God bless him. But I agree, like that one episode, that the reveal of it could possibly be Ezra shook you to your core. That you just had to
It,
spread the good word.
like you came off of your stream and talked to
Yes.
me about it
Yeah.
for like a good 45 minutes, and you're like, "No, I don't like," and I'm like, "No, girl, like red string conspiracy theory shit right now," and you're like, "No, actually, now that you're done with that, that makes sense."
It does make sense. And again, I should say that I saw a little bit of Rebels. I did not realize it was Rebels. I thought that all the animated show was Clone Wars, so I thought it was the Clone Wars. It was not. Because I
When
remember.
that's the great thing about Clone Wars and Rebels is that Rebels still like it's not as great, it's a little more cartoony, but still kind of keeps that same artistic look that
Yes.
Wars did.
Yeah, I agree.
Resistance was not like at all, but like Rebels kept that not as great as Clone Wars, but God, like the background and scenery, it just blows it out of the water.
Yeah, I was about to say because I knew of Ezra. I didn't know him by name, but I knew him because I was like, okay, he a cutie with his
He
long
is a
hair.
cutie.
He's a cutie, and I was like, okay, because I remember when we were pulling it up at at the beginning of March or maybe the end of February where we're planning this. I looked it up and I was like, I know him. I recognize him. He's that cutie that I recognize. I haven't
Because
seen
he's
him.
got long hair, ma'am. He got
I
that
have a
long hair.
thing. I have a thing for long hair. I know. I have a problem, but
I never know.
but I was like, oh yeah, I recognize him. He's the cutie because that's all I remember from when I was younger. When I first saw it, I was like, I know him. He's definitely on my mind. Anyway, moving
But
on.
so it's also one of those things I'm like, if we do not get Ezra this season, we have to get Sabine because Sabine is a Mandalorian. She was the one that got the dark saber back, gave it to Bo-Katan, taught Bo-Katan how to fucking use it as a Mandalorian because Sabine is the one that learned how to use it from a Jedi. Like, and she's the one responsible to go find Ezra. We have had too fucking much lined up for Ezra not to show up and for Sabine not to show up at this point. Because we have an entire fucking show about Mandalorian.
That's true.
So we need a Mandalorian. We need Sabine. We have to have Sabine. Even if it's, again, we don't get Ezra for this, we get Ezra for Ahsoka. Even if it's just Sabine's like, hi guys, what's up? I'm here to go look for my friend Ezra. Peace.
Wait, how many episodes do we have left in the Mando for season 3?
I don't know.
I was about to say because isn't it almost wrapping up by this point?
It is. Bad Batch is definitely wrapping up.
Hmm.
Hang on. Let me just.
I was about to say because when I was checking because again I'm on Twitter a lot and that's how I know if Mando is still up and running, which I know it is because I saw on Wednesday, was it Wednesday or Thursday, that it was trending because it's always trending because it's Mando. But
here's the thing. That episode hit. I watched that episode. I got on TikTok. For the next week, I had only ever seen one episode reference the Space Wells. Or not one episode, one TikTok reference the Space Wells.
You need to make a TikTok strictly of Star Wars lore. You have infinite amount of info to do. You could do
there
it.
There are other more qualified people that do it, I promise. But yeah, like, here's the thing. That's just the hype that Mandalorian has brought to like a new generation, a fresh generation of Star Wars fans. They don't know Like they don't know, and it's upsetting.
Because they're
So,
like, are you true
so
Star
8
Wars fans?
episodes season. So we are halfway through
Oh, so we still got the other
Mandalorian.
half. Because my thing is like this: if it is what you say, maybe you'll find Ezra with Ahsoka. Maybe that means on her standalone show he would be more prominent in Ahsoka. But if that's the case, you will not have the patience to wait that long. That's the
I
thing. I
don't.
know you don't. I know you don't. Anyway, we
I
actually,
don't.
as I say, we actually have to wrap this up pretty quick, pretty soon. But is there anything in the Mando? This is my last question to you and to the listeners, because if y'all have seen Mando, I think it's the most recent before we get to film 7, right? And between 6 and 7, the progressiveness of it all. Wait, yeah. I was just trying to think in terms of timeline. Yeah, that's correct. What is something that you predict, that you yourself predict will happen before the season's over?
Ooh,
And I'm
I
talking
don't
about the
know.
season of Mandalorian. I know we talked about Ezra probably being in there for something, but what is
Ezra
something,
or Sabine?
or Sabine, right? What is something that you yourself predict will happen before the end of Mando? And we're going to wrap that up with Mando Madness by that question.
Give me a second. You take over for just a second. Let me
Okay.
think.
Well, let's see. My predictions aren't going to mean anything because, again, I haven't seen season 3. But has Grogu said his first words? He's going to say his first words. That's the extent of my knowledge.
No, he's still like not really. He says little things here and there, but he has tried to say this is the way.
Aww. I want him to say his first words, and I want him to say, I love you, Daddy. That's what I want him to say. That's what I. Do you see? I just like, oh my God. I love
That's what you
Grogu. I love
think.
Grogu. Yeah, yes, that's my prediction. Does it have to be correct? No. But again, as someone who hasn't seen, season 3 without the lore of Star Wars, that's my prediction. Is it
And that's
absolutely batshit
fine.
insane? Yeah. But I do think that I think he's at that age, Grogu's at that age of, he's going to start
He
babbling a
should be.
lot and talking. So he needs to start talking.
He does babble some. Um, I'm not familiar with any of the alien races, honestly. Um, but it's not a language I recognize. So I don't know if it's a language of where he was, like whatever language they were speaking around him for the last 25 years or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's just baby babble, or what. But I don't think we're necessarily going to get his first words
Damn.
this
That's,
season.
well, you know what? I predict that. And if it comes true, I'm gonna put it all in all y'all's faces. I'm gonna prove that.
You can do that. That's perfectly okay. You can do that.
And that's
Um,
the because again, that's the extent of my knowledge, and so that's why I'm like Grogu's gonna say like his first words and such. Oh,
hmm.
Grogu will say his first words. Oh no, but Gina Carano wouldn't get immediately canceled. No, it's gonna be sweet. Actually, I'm not gonna predict what he's gonna say because then I'll box myself in a corner. So I'm just gonna say before, and this is not like the final episode. I'm saying
Yeah.
before the season ends, Grogu is gonna be able to string in a few words because then Papa's gonna be proud. That's what I think. That's what I
I
believe.
think we're gonna end up getting something with Bo-Katan. I feel like if, like, rumor has it that season 3 is gonna be like the last of Mandalorian. I think we're gonna get one more season. I trust Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau not to over milk this series. Um, but I still think that there's one more season to come of it. If not, we're gonna get Grogu in future, like phase 2 of Star Wars. I think that we're gonna end up getting a time skip with Grogu and see an older Grogu at some point.
That I think that's putting it out there, isn't it? I see what you mean, but that's kind of out there, right? Is it
Like again, it's
possible?
that that faith in our Lord and Savior Dave
Oh
Filoni,
yeah.
backed by John Favreau.
When I tell you she has the utmost faith in Dave Filoni, like she all of her faith.
But
All
you
hell
now
Dave Filoni.
see what he has done.
Yeah.
You have seen it. I have spread the word. But it makes it like it. So imagine how bad the prequels were,
Yeah.
and then Dave Filoni making a 6 season series off of it and making it good.
Mm.
And
Okay.
he is literally the only one that George Lucas trusts with the Star Wars franchise.
I hmm. Okay. You know what? All right. It's on record. It is on record
Okay.
that these are our predictions. This will be very interesting to see how this all plays out. And once
Again,
Mando,
I don't think they're gonna rush season
obviously,
3 like that and give us like an age jump, but I do think we're in the future we're gonna get an older Grogu.
I was about to say, and if that's a prediction, that's fine. We have it on record, so that by the
Mhm.
end of Mando, we'll see who is correct. Because this is going to be very interesting. It like what you saying does make sense. Like it does make sense. So I wouldn't be surprised. It's out there, but it also fits within everything that you said so far. You know what I mean? So it
Well,
could be
I
a
also
possibility.
told you in my ranting and raving that it would have to be Ezra Bridger that is Grogu's like Jedi teacher,
That's going
since
to be
Luke
interesting. Yeah.
couldn't teach him.
I want to ask before.
Like Grogu chose Din over Luke.
Okay, this is the thing. We don't know who's cast as Ezra. Is that correct?
We do. I
Do
wasn't gonna talk about it, but like I accidentally, while poking around, like looking up like proper terms or timelines for Ricey, I did come across that there was someone affiliate like in a lineup on Google of like live actors, not just voice actors,
mm-hmm.
like Hayden Christensen and Rosario Dawson, and then there was somebody for Ezra Bridger.
Damn. But you didn't see who, right? Or you did?
I clicked off of that so
Good,
fucking fast.
good, 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 good. So you don't know, and you know what? I was gonna say who do you
Oh,
predict,
I
but we're
think
not
I
gonna.
remember what I was looking up. I was looking up Ahsoka, the series, to see A, when it would come out, and B, who the director was, because the last we heard it was Robert Rodriguez, and I was
Mad.
big mad about
I was about to
that.
say you were mad. There's no way to sugarcoat it. You were mad. I remember it.
And yeah, I told you why, and you're like, okay, yeah,
You
that's
know, it makes
fair.
sense. It does make sense, but I also will not just. You were like, I was. You were mad. Just straight up say it,
Yeah,
as
I
you
was
should
mad.
be, as you should be, as you should be, with everything that you've
Um,
explained to me about this person. So I
but
hope
also, like, we have Ahsoka rejecting to be Grogu's master. We have Luke that was not chosen to be Grogu's master. He took Grogu under his wing and taught him a little bit, but Grogu chose to leave Luke.
mm-hmm.
I genuinely believe that Ezra is the one chosen to, like, in the Force has chosen him to be Grogu's master.
That's gonna be very
Jedi
interesting to see. Like, I kind of want to see that. That would be very. I will jump in. I'll fucking jump in and see that. Anywho,
And I was hoping season 2 of Mandalorian, where it's like, oh, we're gonna get someone like we're gonna get a Jedi come and collect Grogu and teach Grogu.
yeah,
I was hoping that would be the time that Grogu, like Ezra, was gonna show up.
right.
It
But
was.
no, I think they're pulling for reasons. We'll figure it out by the end
Yeah,
of the season.
I think it's what is it? Diversion is what it is. A little bit of like series padding, but like it's definitely an expectation diversion kind of thing.
I see. Okay. Well, who are you? We have to end it here. Who are you?
Well, we'll end it here, but you already agreed that once Mando is finished, we could bring her.
Yes, that no, I intend to. Like I intend to. So I hope you guys liked the Mando Madness. But we are gonna wait until after Mando has been completed before we can state our final thoughts on it. So I mean, Star Wars, it's never gonna go anywhere. I mean, It's gonna be on this channel forever because we have a huge Star Wars fan right here. But
Yep.
who are you? I say the Star Wars fan. Who are you?
I
Actually,
am Abniki Ree.
okay.
Yes. Who? What?
No. I was gonna say go ahead and say who you are, but I do have to head out pretty quickly.
Okay. No, you're good. You're good.
Hmm.
I'm Abniki Ree. I chatted in the comments. You can find it me under that exact same spelling on Twitter, where I try not to lose my mind because I got friends that can't keep up with the current stuff due to reasons. But you can always hit me up there, and you can message me, and I'll lose my shit to you, just like I did Silent and Nautium. I got theories, yo. And who the fuck are you, ma'am?
I am a bowl of ricey. Here it is. Hoi. I do streams like this morning where we watch Jackie Chan Adventures on Sunday morning cartoons, as well as on Tuesdays through Thursdays where I play games of all kinds.
Demons.
And who are we? Who is us?
What's Your Opinion podcast? Two ADD women that just go off on everything.
Yeah, in the best way.
Find us in the best way. You can find us on Twitter at What's Your Opinion Snin. I put it in the chat. You can find us here at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. On Sundays, weekly for opinions. Don't ask us what next week's topic is gonna be.
We focused everything on Star Wars. Okay, give us just give us a second before we can think of our next topic. But yes.
Anything else for you, man? We need to get around to our Snow White episode.
We really should. I mean, we should. Okay, fine. We'll get to that.
There's no denying that.
I will say this before I leave. I was very organized in planning out what I'm streaming for my personal stream, and we probably should do the same for this one. So we have a schedule, but we have ADHD. We don't schedule shit for nothing. Anyway, nothing. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. We will start next week with a new topic that is not Star Wars, but maybe it depends. But yeah.
Nah, we'll come in and be like Moon Knight, and we'll just go off on
Moon Knight. The fact that we will never have a season 2, that's okay. I'll deal. Anyway,
more Oscar Isaac.
More Oscar Isaac, please. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and we will see you guys next week. Stay safe and all that good stuff. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.